Okay, so the Oscar nominations just came out, and I think there's a lot of interesting things in there, a lot of surprises. So let's get right into it. First of all, with Best Picture. Now, most of these, or pretty much all of these, are pretty expected, nothing too surprising. I guess the only one that might even possibly be considered a surprise is Bohemian Rhapsody getting in there. But I think after winning the Golden Globe, everyone pretty much figured it was going to get in. I I mean, obviously a few months ago people weren't really predicting it, but it recently came on pretty strong. I think in terms of quality, it's absolutely ridiculous that this got nominated for Best Picture. It's a bad movie. It's not even mediocre. I would say it's actually bad, so it definitely doesn't deserve to get in. And, every year there's a couple movies that I don't think deserve it, but this is one of the worst in recent memory, I think, that got in for Best Picture. I think the biggest, most obvious snub that could have replaced it would be If Beale Street Could Talk. I think it's definitely, that should have got in over Bohemian Rhapsody. But, I mean, really anything pretty much could have gotten in over Bohemian Rhapsody. I think even, hell, Aquaman or Upgrade I would have put in over Bohemian Rhapsody. So that pretty much is ridiculous there. Nothing else I really have a problem with. I mean, I wouldn't have put quite a few of those in there, but nothing shocking. I think, personally, I wouldn't have put in Green Book or Stars Born or a lot of those things, but really, yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody, just a ridiculous choice there. Yeah, very much don't agree with that. But, okay, so moving on to Best Director. I think the biggest shock here, this is a pretty surprising category in general. Obviously, Bradley Cooper getting snubbed is huge, and that's not a good sign for A Star is Born in general, for it, winning Best Picture or anything. It's not a completely, doesn't completely ruin its chances, but certainly not a good sign, and I'm okay with him not getting in, and Peter Farrelly not getting nominated. I think most people were probably predicting that. I'm glad that he didn't get nominated. I think the movie was entertaining, it was fine, but his direction was nothing special. It was really more the script and the performances that were so great, which obviously the director does get some credit for, but I don't think he deserved it. Pretty awesome that Pavel Pavlikovsky got nominated. I was hearing some buzz for him getting a Best Director nomination, but I was still a little surprised because it is a foreign movie. It's not super easy to get into, and there's two foreign Best Director nominations here, and even for just a foreign movie getting nominated at all, obviously everyone knew Roma was getting in, but the Pavlikovsky one, that's a pretty big upset. I don't think really too many people were expecting that. So, and that's great to see. I don't know offhand, but it seems like, in general, foreign movies rarely get nominated for this category. So, moving on to Best Actress. This was, I think, pretty much what people were expecting here. I am very glad that Yalitza Aparicio got in. I think there was a lot of people were predicting she wouldn't get in. That's obviously a good sign for Roma's Best Picture chances. And I just love the story of seeing, this first-time actress getting in a Best Actress nomination. And really, I don't know what else you would have put in there. I know some people were talking about Emily Blunt for Mary Poppins Returns, who was fine, but an Oscar nominee, I personally don't think so. I mean, you could maybe make an argument for Viola Davis, but Widows in general, I believe got completely shut out, so it's really not too surprising that didn't get in there, but overall, it's a pretty solid category, I think. So, moving on to Best Actor. This was pretty much what most people were expecting. I think everyone knew that obviously Bale Cooper, Malik were absolute locks. I think most people were expecting Mortensen to get in. Willem Dafoe was a little bit of a surprise. I still haven't seen it at Eternity's Gate. I definitely need to check that out as soon as possible. It seemed like everyone was thinking either Hawk or John David Washington from BlacKkKlansman. I would have loved to see Ethan Hawke get in, but I can't say I'm shocked that movie didn't really get more Oscar nominations. It's not your typical Oscar film, but there's no question in my mind he's better than John David Washington and BlacKkKlansman. I mean, even I would put Ethan Hawke over Mortensen, Cooper, and Malik. Maybe not Bale, but so yeah, I'll definitely have to check out At Eternity's Gate soon. Moving on to Best Supporting Actress. Now, this one had one of the biggest surprises in Marina de Tavira for Roma. Absolute shocker there. Gold Derby, looking at it, she was 9th. And Claire Foy got snubbed for that. I mean, I think that's good. Obviously that's good for Roma's Best Picture chances, just like with the Best Actress nomination. I don't really have a huge problem with Claire Foy getting snubbed. I mean, she was fine, but there wasn't really too much to that role to, make her like a definite, like, this is some huge snub or something. But, the rest, I think everyone knew. Amy Adams, Regina King, Stone, and Rachel Weisz were going to get in. So really, it's just that Roma that's pretty surprising there. Supporting actor, I think everyone knew most of those people were going to get in. The only one is Sam Rockwell getting in instead of Chalamet for A Beautiful Boy, which I still haven't seen Beautiful Boy. Sam Rockwell, I mean, he was fine as George W. Bush. Does he deserve a Oscar nomination for that? I would say no. I mean, it's sort of just like an impression. I mean, it's fine, but yeah, I don't know who else I would necessarily put in. I mean, maybe, honestly, I'd probably put in Michael B. Jordan from Black Panther over Sam Rockwell, or even Brian Tyree Henry from Beale Street Could Talk. I think both of those were a better performance than Sam Rockwell, but, obviously the Academy loves Sam Rockwell, so not too shocking. Best Original Screenplays. What's next? I don't think there's anything too terribly shocking in there. I am very glad to see First Reformed in there, which I believe that is its only nomination. I think all of these were pretty expected. So moving on to the adapted screenplay, that was pretty interesting. Ballad of Buster Scruggs got in there. I don't think anyone was predicting that. I didn't even realize it was an adapted screenplay. I just assumed it was original. I guess some of the individual stories are based on some pre-existing material, which I didn't realize. So, but I'm looking at Gold Derby. I don't even think it's on the list. Period. For they had it under original, so I guess Gold Derby was confused too. Not sure how that happened, but they had an 8th for original. I mean, I don't know if that even deserves an adapted screenplay nomination. I mean, I probably would have put in, I might have put in Death of Stalin, but there's nothing else super strongly standing out as an obvious snub in that category. Okay, so moving on to Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Not shocked at all that Weisz got in. I mean, that definitely deserves it. I'd have to guess that's going to be a winner. Mary Queen of Scots, of course, the period pieces, they always do well in this category. And then Border, which was, I think, kind of a surprise. I still haven't seen that. I definitely need to see that soon. Looks crazy, and I've heard that it's pretty crazy. And obviously, just from the trailers, the makeup definitely looks fantastic. Best Costume Design, I don't think there's... Well, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, again I was kind of not expecting that to get really any Oscar nominations except for maybe song. So I mean, that's great that it got in. Other than that, it seems all pretty standard. You know, your period pieces, your 3 period pieces, and Black Panther was amazing costume design. I think, and I'd probably pick Black Panther for my personal favorite, and probably even a prediction. Best cinematography, that had some interesting ones. The German film Never Look Away, which I'll get to later. I don't think I didn't see anyone predict this getting a cinematography nomination. Looking at Gold Derby, it wasn't even on the list. Again, that's crazy. I haven't seen it, but since it got nominated for this and one other award, which I'll get to later, I definitely need to check it out as soon as possible. So glad Cold War got in there as well. Cold War has amazing cinematography. Possibly the second best of the year after Roma, which I think is almost certainly going to win, and it definitely should win. That easily has the best cinematography of the year. I'm okay. I'm glad that The Favorite got in as well. A Star is Born, I mean, I'm not shocked that it got in, but I didn't particularly care for the cinematography. I would have much rather seen If Beale Street Could Talk get in there. I mean, that's a huge snub in my opinion in terms of quality. Yeah, there's just no question that If Beale Street Could Talk looks way better than Star is Born. I mean, I would have put I would have put Widows, First Man, which I think that a lot of people thought First Man was going to get a cinematography nomination, and it didn't, which I think, it did get quite a few technical nominations, but other than that, it seemed like it got pretty much entirely shut out. So that's, not a good sign for First Man. Original song, don't really have too much to say about that. I think that's all pretty expected. There's nothing really, don't really know too much about. That category is always a little weird. But, okay, so moving on to score. First Man got snubbed. That was the big snub there. And again, not a good sign in general for First Man winning anything. Black Klansman getting in. I don't remember the score for that being that particularly memorable, but I guess it was fine. I loved the If Beale Street Could Talk score. So glad they got a nomination. That, in my opinion, is the best score of the year, and I think it'll probably win too, I have to say. Okay, so best documentary feature. Now this one was very interesting. One massive snub, and that's Won't You Be My Neighbor. I am shocked this didn't get nominated. I think everyone is going to be shocked that this didn't get nominated. It was the front runner for many people were acting like it was just, a sure thing that it was going to not only get nominated but win, and it doesn't even get nominated. Quality-wise, I don't have that much of a problem with it not getting nominated. It's definitely a good documentary, but it's nothing amazing. It's not like, oh my god, this needs to be nominated. It's fine, it's good, but don't really have a huge problem with it getting snubbed. And then also, Three Identical Strangers did not get a nomination. I think everyone was predicting that to get nominated. I mean, obviously the documentary category is always a little wonky, but so instead of those two, we have two movies I have not seen: Hale County This Evening, and Of Fathers and Sons. And then the rest, Free Solo, which I absolutely loved. Think maybe this might be the one that I would pick, that I would vote for. Minding the Gap and RBG, also expected. Definitely have no problems with those getting in. So that should be interesting now that the so-called frontrunner is not even nominated. It's pretty free up. I'd have to guess, if I had to predict in terms of winning, it's probably in between Free Solo and RBG, and I would have to guess that RBG probably will win just because that has the timeliness sort of, political factor, whereas Free Solo doesn't. Okay, so moving on to Best Animated Feature. This is all pretty much standard. This is what people were expecting. So yeah, no surprises there. Best foreign language film. Now, there was, I think, everyone was, obviously Roma was a shoo-in for the nomination here, and it'll almost certainly win. I think everyone was expecting Cold War, Shoplifters, Capernaum to get nominated. The real shocker here is that Never Look Away got nominated instead of Burning from Lee Chang-dong, which, again, I think everyone was expecting Burning to get in. Having seen it, honestly, like, it's not shocking that the Academy didn't nominate it, just because it's not necessarily... It's kind of enigmatic. It's kind of a little puzzling. So it doesn't really give you any easy answers. So I'm not too shocked. You know, I guess Never Look Away was it was number 6 on Gold Derby. But I definitely need to see that as soon as possible, since it got not only a foreign nomination, but the cinematography nomination. That's a real shocker. So definitely need to check that out. Moving on, the sound mixing and editing, I don't think really anything is shocking there. I know A Star Is Born didn't get sound editing, which I think people were expecting. So that could be also a bad sign for its overall chances, but it did get in for sound mixing. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know enough about the technical aspects of these to comment, although I am very glad that Roma got in for both of those. Production design, these all seem pretty much what people were expecting. Yeah, it's a Gold Derby. These are the top 5 that they had picked. Yeah, no real surprises there. Obviously, you know, The Favorite and Mary Poppins. Well, 4 period pieces plus Black Panther. Visual effects. A lot of people were thinking Black Panther was going to get nominated for this because it's so popular in general, and then it's the technical categories is obviously where movies like this are going to shine, since Black Panther didn't get directing or screenplay or acting nominations. But it didn't really have very good visual effects, so I can't say I'm too surprised. Glad Avengers got in there. It's amazing. Still haven't seen Christopher Robin. Now that seems like a bit of a surprise. That was 9th on Gold Derby. And a Star Wars story, I guess. Just looking at the other options, I mean, it is better, you know, than Mary Poppins or Ant-Man to the Wasp and Jurassic World in terms of visual effects. So can't say I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but not a huge shock. Film editing, nothing super surprising there. I mean, let's see. According to Gold Derby, yeah, it's another First Man snub, another Star Is Born snub. And Roma didn't even get in, which I can kind of see why, because, you know, people were predicting it like it's number 1 on Gold Derby, but it's just so many long takes. I don't know if you could really say the editing is amazing, but yeah, I guess that's another sign that A Star Is Born might not win Best Picture. But Vice, Bohemian Rhapsody again got in for editing, which, I mean, it kind of makes sense with the musical performances and stuff like that, but... And then Green Book, yeah, I don't really know what was so special about the editing in there. Best animated short. I haven't seen all of these. I've seen, Bao. That's not at all surprising. That got in. I think, you know, Pixar basically is guaranteed to get in every time with these. Still haven't seen One Small Step or Weekends, but I have seen Late Afternoon, which, you know, that was decent and not too surprising it got in, and Animal Behavior, which I'm actually a little surprised because it's not very serious. It's a very funny, lighthearted thing, but I loved it. I'm very glad to see that get in. I actually might, well, the 3 I've seen, that is probably my favorite. So, and then, you know, I can't really comment on the live action shorts or documentary shorts because I have not seen any of those. So overall, I think this was pretty interesting. There's quite a few surprises and snubs. So yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for listening.